Bulgaria is part of European Union. Bulgaria is part of Europe. Bulgarian healthcare stakeholders also understand the need of being closer to other European experts, being closer to the European standards, be able to exchange excellences, and that way it's going to be much easier to provide on European level better healthcare service to the patients. I think it is clear the pharmacist is playing a fundamental role into the healthcare system. The pharmacist is actually changing its role lately from being for supporting the so-called traditional trade of medicines and services to a new level, and this is being a counsel, being an advisor to the patient. It is also clear that the future pharmacy needs to be a point of prevention in order to ensure better life, longer life of the Europeans, and this can only happen thanks to the pharmacist itself, so that he to become a real advisor and counsel to the patient. That means that we all together should work into the direction so that to leave to the pharmacists more time to advise the patients rather than losing their precious time and knowledge and competence and experience with day-to-day operations. I would say that this trend, it's clear, it's evident that this is the direction. So within the pharmacies, we do vaccinations. Within pharmacies, we do different kind of patient services like measuring different kind of fundamental human lives KPIs, and for that again I'm coming back to how important the role of the pharmacist is, because without him in the middle this cannot work. So we foresee and we witness a clear trend in my countries, not only I would say all European Union, of going on the prevention side, on the patient services side, rather than only keeping the traditional trade in the pharmacies. Of course, there is a great fashion around the artificial intelligence. Everybody speaks about digitalization. Everybody speaks about implementing into our day-to-day activities of artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, and so on and so forth. Yes, we are heavily working into that direction with the clear goal that we want to facilitate the pharmacist daily operations by covering their day-to-day obligations with software solutions, with artificial intelligence solutions, with digitalization overall, so that to give them more time to do what they can do better, be advisor, be counsel, be so to say a preventer of patients' health status, and of course service them, as already mentioned. So vaccination, different type of services that are actually contributing to have better healthcare system, not only in my countries but in Europe. We very often hear and read about cross-border healthcare service. This cross-border healthcare service, for example, might mean that I get my recipe in Bulgaria or in Romania, and then I go and I expect to get serviced in France or in Italy. It doesn't matter what the final destination is. What matters here is to serve the patient properly, get the same standard in France, Spain, or Romania, Bulgaria, because our key obligation here is to serve the healthcare, serve the patients. I would like to make this very clear. Artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, and all these digital solutions can only support the pharmacist. The role of the pharmacist is unreplaceable. So the human being, the pharmacist, this will stay forever. Human prefers to talk to human, and this knowledge, this competence, this culture that each and every pharmacist has to serve the patients, this cannot be replaced by artificial intelligence. So we are heavily working, as already said, into implementing that kind of tools. I would call them tools, digital solutions, software solutions, artificial intelligence, and so on and so forth, so that to help the pharmacist to do daily job in order to save time, and redirect it to serve the patient, to consult, to advise. Well, we are EU members, and legislation, so-called regulators in Brussels, they sit, they discuss, they implement new rules, new obligations, and so on and so forth. In addition to that, we have our local health authorities in each and every EU member country that is further discussing about how to improve human lives, how to fight with the demographic issues that Europe has overall, how to have the nation, how to have healthier nations, and so on and so forth. Yes, there are challenges because, for example, speaking about the pharmacies, we have two models, let's say, in general, like Spain, France, where the pharmacy can only be owned by a pharmacist, and/or other countries like UK, like Netherlands, like C countries, for example, most of them, we can have chains, retail chains, so this is the second model. I don't want to go here into that deep discussion about which one is better. I would say the one that serves the patients better, it's the best. And here I would like to make one disclaimer that whenever this or that model it's represented within Europe, experienced, let's say long-term experience, in terms of complexity, it's better than the other. I mean, it's not only about dispensing medicines or trading with medicines or patient services or whatever. The most complex one is the one that should prevail, so that, again, to be able to serve better the patient. So to say, the best one would be that one that better serves the patient. Yes, this is a specific topic. For example, I had recently an experience with the implementation of the vaccination, allowing vaccination in pharmacies in Romania. So we have this on the table in Bulgaria as well. And of course, the doctors' lobby is not quite happy. But at the same time, I think by working together, by discussing together, we've got to the point that maybe these queues that the GPs are having in their offices for starting from babies till teenagers and elderly people waiting for their shot of vaccination and this and that, could probably, by skipping this queue to the doctors, to the GPs, and redirect them to the pharmacies, this could probably also help the doctors to do better their job. Yeah. And at the same time, pharmacists are extremely well prepared, extremely well educated, so that we do this job with pleasure. So, first shot, it looks like quite a complicated topic. For example, if we take the vaccinations as an example, or many other areas around. Yeah, they're complicated, of course. Doctors are doctors. They want to have, to some extent, full control over the healthcare system. But at the same time, they also understand they cannot do it alone, because in Europe in general, we don't have enough doctors. We have issues with areas and regions where the access to the healthcare, even in Europe, is not so good as needs to be. And this, of course, requires a dialogue. This requires common discussions where we have to agree how we could help each other, pharmacists to doctors and doctors to pharmacists. And I see a progress in that, to be honest. Yes, indeed. What had happened during the COVID years is something that I can confirm still stays. Lesson learned. We have to just refresh a bit and remember that the first wave was terrible because it catches unprepared. And I have to also admit and say that even though it can be always faster and it can be always better, but this understanding that we need to improve the service, we need to improve the regulations, we need to improve our actions so that to serve better the patient, be closer, be faster, not have shortages, be prepared for the next situation, so to say. We need to cope better, we need to be more active, and we need to stay together. I have to say that there are clear signs in that direction. Well, that's the trend. So sustainability, green energy, digitalization, of course, those are clear trends that we have to take into consideration. We are actually doing so. So we apply that in our daily job, as already said. But in general, this is fundamental in terms of providing European-wide healthcare services. So if you want to get your prescription in Bulgaria and be served in Romania, this can only happen if we have standards, if we have almost similar systems, so to say, because we need to have like an equal footprint, name it systems, name it standards, name it regulations, so that to ensure the same service cross-border, yeah. And I have to do a disclaimer again here that this starts with the digital solutions, with software solutions, with artificial intelligence implementation, and of course this goes hand in hand with sustainability, with the green. We have clear KPIs, by the way. In my countries, I know my KPI is up to 2030 about sustainability and green, and of course, as each and every company doing big business into the services of people, of patients, of course, we have to also take care about our planet. So we do so. Bulgaria historically was playing a key role into the supply of medicines during even the socialist times. So it was one of the countries, not say one of the countries, providing the so-called ex-USSR countries with medicines, name it R&D, name it production, name it supply. So this explains why Bulgaria nowadays is still a manufacturing spot for many industry representatives. So I can say that, for example, one of the biggest factories in worldwide of Teva, it's also based in Bulgaria. So we have traditions, we have competence, we have know-how. I'm extremely happy to say that we are very closely coping with the faculty of pharmacists in particular, and this cooperation goes very well. We also quite well coping with the Bulgarian Pharmacist Association, where each and every pharmacist needs to be a member in, and we have at least first shot 3-4 events each year where we stand together in front of the young Bulgarian pharmacists, not only, also practitioners, pharmacists that are already in the business, and we speak about a lot of hot topics. We discuss about regulations, we discussed about standards. So I have to say it is work in progress, of course. It can be always better, but we are on a very good track.